The Shang dynasty was the second dynasty in Chinese history and the first to have contemporaneous written records. From its establishment around 1600 BC to its demise in 1046 BCE, the Shang dynasty lasted for over 500 years. It created a brilliant civilization and held an extremely important position in the historical development of Chinese civilization. The Shang dynasty originated from a tribe in the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River. According to legend, its ancestor, Shi, lived during the same period as the Xia dynasty. Shang Tang, the ruler of the Shang state, which was a vassal state under the Xia dynasty, led his army to defeat Xia Jie in the Battle of Mingtao. After his victory, he adopted Shang as the state's name and officially established the Shang dynasty around 1600 BCE. At that time, Xia Jie, the 17th ruler of the Xia dynasty, was in power. During his reign, he indulged in extravagance and pleasure, neglected state affairs, and excessively exploited the people by imposing heavy taxes and seizing wealth and beauties for his own enjoyment. It is said that Guan Longpang, a minister of the Xia dynasty, tried to advise him, but Xia Jie, viewing this as an interruption to his pleasures, ordered his execution. On another occasion, Xia Jie summoned various tribal leaders for a meeting. However, some prominent figures, deeply dissatisfied with his rule, deliberately refused to attend. Infuriated, Xia Jie launched a military campaign against these tribes. One of the tribal leaders, under duress, offered a beautiful woman named Chu He as tribute, after which Xia Jie finally relented. Xia Jie's ruthless actions not only provoked widespread resentment among the common people but also alienated the vassal states under his rule. Sensing the growing discontent, Tang, the leader of the Shang tribe, sought to establish his authority through virtue, while preparing his army for war. At the time, the Shang capital was located in Hao, which was still some distance from the Xia capital, Shengqian. To facilitate his planned conquest of Xia, Tang relocated the Shang capital to Beihai, strategically positioning himself for the impending battle. Additionally, to strengthen and expand his power, Tang implemented benevolent policies to win people's support while simultaneously annexing smaller tribes such as the Ji, Wei, Gu, and Kunwu tribes, all of which were vassal states under the command of the Xia king. At the same time, he sent spies to infiltrate the Xia capital to gather intelligence and monitor Xia Jie's movements. However, Shang Tang's series of military actions naturally caught Xia Jie's attention. Realizing that his plans had been exposed, Tang quickly mobilized his army and launched an attack on the Xia dynasty, engaging Xia Jie in a decisive battle at Mingtao. During the battle, heavy snow and wind raged, but the Shang army fought with increasing vigor, while the Xia forces crumbled under the assault. Seizing the momentum, Tang pursued the retreating Xia army, forcing Xia Jie to flee to Nankao, where he eventually died. After Xia Jie's death, Tang led his army to attack the Xia capital, bringing an end to the Xia dynasty. Following the conquest, Tang withdrew his forces to Bo, where he convened a grand assembly of vassal lords and formally established the Shang dynasty, making Bo its capital. At this point, Shang Tang had fulfilled his mission of overthrowing the Xia dynasty and established the second slave-based dynasty in Chinese history, the Shang dynasty. After founding the new dynasty, Tang learned from the downfall of the Xia dynasty and implemented benevolent policies, winning the support of the people and stabilizing the Shang regime. During this time, agriculture and handicrafts in the Shang dynasty developed rapidly. After establishing the Shang dynasty, Tang ruled for 13 years before passing away. From then on, successive Shang rulers heavily relied on divination to govern the state. Additionally, in response to natural disasters, the Shang dynasty frequently relocated its capital, forcing the people to migrate repeatedly. To some extent, these constant relocations hindered the economic development of the dynasty. Furthermore, from the reign of Shang King Taijia onward, the Shang nobility became increasingly decadent. They abandoned unity and progress, indulging in drinking and pleasure while engaging in political infighting and cultivating their own factions. when Taiwu ascended the throne. With the assistance of his capable ministers, Yi Zhe and Wu Shen, he revitalized the declining Shang dynasty, restoring its prosperity. As a result, various vassal states submitted to Shang rule, and Taiwu was honored with the title of Songzong. Subsequently, starting from the reign of Zhongding, the Shang dynasty once again fell into decline. The primary cause was the Shang dynasty's mixed system of succession, which combined both father-to-son inheritance and brother-to-brother succession. The coexistence of these two methods led to chaos in the royal succession. In the struggle for the throne, internal conflicts within the royal family erupted repeatedly, plunging the dynasty into turmoil for 9 generations. As a result, the vassal states stopped paying tribute, and the political atmosphere deteriorated significantly. This period became known as the Chaos of 9 Generations, Joshi Juluan. Around 1300 BCE, King Pangang ascended the throne. Faced with the deteriorating state of the court and the country, he was determined to restore the prosperity of the Shang dynasty. Upon taking power, Pangang decided to establish a new capital as a permanent seat of government, using this opportunity to implement political reforms. However, by that time, the Shang dynasty had already relocated its capital 5 times, leaving the court unsettled and the people filled with resentment. The vassal lords and ministers strongly opposed the relocation. In response, Pangang reasoned with them and appealed to their emotions, ultimately gaining their support. Following this, Pangang led his people across the Yellow River to the south, finally settling in Yin. This event became known as the Pangang Migration to Yin, Pangang Chen Yin. After relocating the capital, he reinstated the benevolent policies of Cheng Tang, easing internal conflicts within the royal family, ensuring stability for the people, and revitalizing the Shang dynasty's strength. Due to Pangang's adherence to Tang's virtuous governance, vassal states once again came to pay tribute to him. Pangang was regarded as the ruler who revived the Shang dynasty. In later times, the dynasty was referred to as Yin Shang, as it flourished after the capital was relocated to Yin. After Pangang's reign, his successors, Xiao Xin and Xiao Yi, ascended the throne one after another. However, their reigns lacked significant political achievements, causing the once revitalized Shang dynasty to fall into decline again. In 1250 BCE, King Wuding took the throne. During his reign, the Shang dynasty reached its peak, ushering in what became known as the Golden Age of Wuding. Wuding was the son of Xiao Yi, the younger brother of Pangang, making him Pangang's nephew. Upon ascending the throne, Wuding was determined to restore and expand the power of the Shang dynasty. He appointed Fu Yue, a man of humble origins, as prime minister to assist in governing the state. At the same time, he implemented a series of reforms to centralize royal authority, ensuring that the administration of the Shang dynasty operated efficiently and effectively. Militarily, Wuding personally led multiple campaigns, successfully conquering and subjugating various neighboring states and tribes. These victories not only secured the kingdom's borders but also significantly expanded its territory and influence. Under Wuding's rule, the Shang dynasty's domain stretched from Gansu in the west to the eastern coast, from the northern deserts to the Yangtze River basin in the south, making it a vast empire composed of numerous vassal states and tribes. Through his military campaigns, Wuding spread Yin Shang civilization to the Yangtze River region. The social and economic development of the Shang dynasty also experienced remarkable growth, particularly in metallurgy. The bronze industry, a key indicator of the technological advancements of the time, saw a significant surge in production, marking a breakthrough in smelting techniques and reflecting the high level of productivity during this period. Additionally, during Wuding's reign, significant advancements were made in various fields, including textiles, medicine, transportation, and astronomy. The Golden Age established by Wuding laid a solid foundation for the economic and social development of the late Shang period and even contributed to the flourishing civilization of the Western Zhou dynasty. However, after Wuding's death, the era of peace and prosperity he built did not last long. Around 1075 BC, King Dixin, also known as the Shangzhou King, ascended the throne. However, he ruled with tyranny, plunging the people into suffering and hardship. At the beginning of his reign, Dixin expanded Shang's influence further into the East China Sea and the Yangtze River basin through military campaigns. However, these continuous wars severely drained the kingdom's resources, intensified internal conflicts, and left the nation militarily vulnerable. Believing that his conquests were unparalleled and that the world had been pacified, Dixin gradually neglected state affairs. He indulged in excessive luxury and debauchery, spending his time in extravagant pleasures with his consort, Doji, while enforcing a brutal and oppressive rule. This not only provoked widespread resentment among the common people but also led to growing dissatisfaction among his own ministers and officials. Around 1060 BC, during King Dixin's reign of tyranny, Zibo Hao Ji Chang, Marquis of the West, ruled the state of Zhou with benevolent policies, earning widespread support from the people. His sons, Ji Dan and Ji Fa, were also highly capable and beloved by the populace. This aroused King Dixin's suspicion and jealousy, leading him to order the arrest of Ji Chang and imprison him in Yuli. While Ji Chang was in prison, King Dixin sought to test his loyalty. To do so, he captured Ji Chang's son, Bo Yi Kao, and brought him to the Shang capital as a hostage. However, Dixin brutally executed Bo Yi Kao, made his flesh into a meat stew, and served it to Ji Chang. Realizing the king's malicious intent but left with no choice, Ji Chang wept bitterly as he drank the stew. Later, Wei Yingju, a minister of Zhou, offered King Dixin a vast amount of gold, silver, and beautiful women as a ransom for Ji Chang's release. Delighted by these lavish gifts, Dixin eventually agreed to free Ji Chang and allowed him to return to Zhou. After returning to Zhou, Ji Chang began amassing military strength and waiting for the right opportunity. During this time, he implemented numerous policies to benefit the people, gaining widespread support and admiration. Moreover, as other vassal states learned about Ji Chang's benevolent and effective governance, they began to follow his example and pledge allegiance to Zhou. At the same time, to expand his influence, Ji Chang launched military campaigns against neighboring vassal states, gradually increasing Zhou's power. Additionally, following the strategic approach of Cheng Tang, he decided to relocate the Zhou capital to Feng, a city closer to the Shang capital, to better position himself for a future war against the Shang Dynasty. Unfortunately, just as the Zhou army was at its peak in preparing for battle, Ji Chang passed away due to old age. With the loss of their leader, the Zhou forces temporarily suspended their plans to overthrow Shang. After Ji Chang's death, his eldest son, Ji Fa, succeeded him as King Wu of Zhou, with the assistance of the great strategist Zhang Ziya and his brother, the Duke of Zhou. King Wu accelerated preparations for the final campaign against the Shang Dynasty, setting the stage for its downfall. In 1046 BC, King Wu of Zhou, Ji Fa, officially launched his military campaign against King Dixin of Shang, leading a massive army towards Zhaoji, the Shang capital. At the same time, 800 vassal states gathered their forces to support Zhou in overthrowing the Shang dynasty. A decisive battle that would determine the fate of the dynasty erupted in the dead of night. Faced with the overwhelming force of the Zhou coalition army, King Dixin, caught off guard, hastily conscripted slaves as soldiers to resist the invasion. However, as expected, the poorly organized Shang forces were quickly defeated. With his army collapsing, King Dixin abandoned his troops and retreated to the capital, Zhaoji. However, King Wu's army pursued relentlessly, crushing any remaining resistance. Inside Zhaoji, both the military and the people turned against Dixin, defecting to the Zhou forces. Realizing there was no hope left for him, Dixin fled to the Deer Terrace, Lutai, and set himself on fire. With his death, the Shang dynasty officially came to an end. From its establishment around 1600 BC to its downfall in 1046 BC, the Shang dynasty lasted for over 500 years. During this period, the dynasty achieved remarkable advancements in politics, economy, military affairs, culture, and technology. In terms of territory, the influence of the Shang dynasty far exceeded that of the Xia dynasty. Politically, Shang governance was deeply influenced by theocratic beliefs, with its highest governing principle being ruling the state according to the will of deities and ancestral spirits. The Shang dynasty established a relatively complete state apparatus. Its administrative system was structured with 3 levels and 9 ranks of officials, and it implemented a dual system of inner and outer administration, based on bloodline and hierarchical status. Shang society was characterized by a slave-based system, with a strict class hierarchy that distinguished the ruling elite from the oppressed lower classes. Regarding legal principles, the Shang legal system evolved from the Xia dynasty's concept of divine punishment for the guilty, further emphasizing the role of deities, particularly ancestral spirits, in the dispensation of justice and governance. The legal system of the Shang dynasty was primarily based on criminal law, with punishments determined according to social status and the severity of the crime. In terms of economy, the Shang economy was agriculture-based, supported by handicrafts, and supplemented by trade. Notably, handicraft industries developed rapidly and were entirely managed by the government. These industries were characterized by specialized divisions of labor, large-scale production, high output, a wide variety of goods, and advanced craftsmanship. Among them, bronze casting technology reached its peak, becoming a defining feature of Shang civilization. Culturally, the Shang dynasty's culture evolved around oracle bone script, ancestor worship, and bronze artifacts. During the Yin Shang period, writing was widely used and had reached a relatively mature stage of development. The structure of Chinese characters was already well formed in oracle bone inscriptions, laying the foundation for the future evolution of Chinese script.